Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. We're already halfway through the week with the long weekend. Hope you're having a good day. Today, I wanted to talk about posturing in the divorce process. What is posturing? So, posturing's not a very nice situation, but it's basically when somebody is saying things to scare you. So, they're using this tactic to just scare you in the process. So, I've heard a lot of clients say, well, my spouse is saying they'll take everything. They're going to take all of the money. They're going to take the house. They're going to take the kids. They're telling me I'll be left with nothing and I'll just be out on the street and I don't know what to do. And it's really unfortunate that people use this tactic, but the reality is that's what happens. And in some cases, people are using that tactic actually to scare you to stay in the marriage because they're afraid of losing you, which is, kind of not a nice scenario in a relationship. And then the other reason they're using that is in the divorce to scare you as to what's about to happen. And why are they doing that? Because they want you to feel like you're lacking in power and that they have all the power, so that maybe in the negotiations, whether that's with the lawyer or in a mediation process, that if you feel like you have no power, maybe you'll give in. Maybe you'll give in on things that you actually are entitled to because you don't even realize that you're entitled to them. And the more that they scare you and the more that they have that power over you, they feel like they'll win. So your job is to empower yourself with knowledge. It's really true what they say, that knowledge is power. The more you know, the more armed you are with the knowledge, the less fearful you're going to be in that process. At the end of the day, you have to realize that the family law, there's a lot of rules involved, and it's really important for you to speak with the lawyer at the very outset of the process. Understand what your rights are, what your obligations are. Just know what you need to know going into the process. So by doing that, and you become armed with all of this knowledge, now when your spouse is saying things to you, you'll be able to pick apart what they're saying. You'll know when they're saying things that are true and when they're saying things that are not true. And in the process of mediation, the mediator's job is to design a process where there isn't an imbalance of power. They're trying to make sure that you're both on an equal playing field, so that you can negotiate in a fair environment, and again, following what the rules are in family law in terms of what people are entitled to, what their obligations are, what does that mean for support, what does that mean with the house. Sometimes people will say, well, one person maybe was a stay-at-home parent to the children and the other person paid for the house, so therefore they'll scare you into thinking I'm taking the house. That's not how the law works. The matrimonial home has its own rules, and essentially you're both entitled to that home regardless of who paid for it. There's always going to be exceptions to the rules. There's always going to be something unique in your own situation. And again, it's important to find out the legal advice that you need so you know what you need to know. But knowledge is power. So when you go into that mediation, or even if you're going to court, unfortunately, when you know what you need to know, that person loses their power. When they're trying to scare you into giving in, but you already know what they're talking about and you know what the rules are, you're taking away their power on you, and you're gaining power yourself because you're able to deal with it properly. So it can be really hard, but in these scenarios, sometimes that's where it really helps to have somebody like a divorce coach, because they can help you find the information you need, they can direct you to the resources you need, and they themselves, as the divorce coach, are really a big resource for you in terms of information. And the more knowledge you have, the more empowered you feel, the less likely you're going to give in to that fear-mongering with your spouse or soon-to-be ex-spouse, because you know that what they're talking about may not actually be true. So make sure you don't do it alone. Don't feel like you're isolated. Don't feel like you have to go through this alone and without any help. There are people out there, there are professionals out there that want to help you for the right reasons, and they want to see you successful in your negotiation, and they want to see you move on with your best life. Seek the help that you need. Do your research. Go online, Google the information, speak to a lawyer, speak to a mediator, speak to a divorce coach, speak to a financial professional who's involved with divorce issues. Maybe it's even somebody like a CBV, a chartered business valuator, who for a living, they value businesses, because if that's one of the sticking points, you want to know what it is you don't know going into that negotiation. Speak to a chartered accountant that's involved in divorce. Don't do it alone. And remember, posturing, it's really just a scare tactic. If you can disassemble what that person is saying to you and think through it rationally rather than with your emotions, you're going to get farther, and they're not going to be successful at beating you down. So that's the topic of posturing for today. Hope you have a great day.